Call the Irish Hills, you'll find Michigan Speedway. It's about to come to life with the sound of race cars.
ARCA is at Michigan, led by veteran Frank Kimmel, who finished 4th here last year. Kimmel has seen success this season, but his best Michigan finish is 2nd in 1993. In 1998, he already has a pair of impressive wins, one on a short track, one under the lights at Charlotte. But while Kimmel has enjoyed finishing 1st, he is 2nd in points, a slim 15 behind the leader. Mark Gibson is the man everyone is chasing, a promising performer waiting for that big victory that takes him from the shadows to the spotlight. Gibson has used consistency to climb to the top of the points ladder, but needs a win to continue his reign. Ironically, it was rain that kept him out of victory lane in Atlanta. Now Gibson hopes that maybe Michigan will shower him with success. Mark Gibson has one career win. It came last season in St. Louis, but he's still looking for that one shining moment, the one that makes his name a household word, and the one that makes his team a threat any week on any racetrack. He comes here with a brand new Ford Taurus, a car that is arguably handicapped by ARCA rules, but he plans to race his way to the front. Gibson would love to take home some points, but what Mark wants most from Michigan is a win. Today, he starts directly behind the man he's directly in front of. In fact, Frank Kimmel could be leading the points, except for one thing. Last race at Memphis, he finished 27th. But Kimmel knows how to chase points. A year ago in the championship, he finished 2nd, just 90 behind the leader. He also knows how to win races, 7 career victories. Today, he's hoping for his 3rd. Kimmel rolls off 7th, and Gibson goes from 9th. Deeper in the starting field than you might expect, but you can also expect both to go straight to the front.
Well, one name absent from the front of the field and very deep in the field is Andy Hillenburg. And ever since I've been doing the ESPN races, Andy Hillenburg has been a factor in it. You think today, he's starting 41st position, the champion's provisional. You say to yourself, hey, has ARCA Racing got that competitive? Has Andy lost his touch? Not hardly. The reason they didn't qualify is they didn't get their motor until after 2nd round qualifying was over with. He showed up, he's got 3 laps of practice on the racetrack. So let me tell you something. He says today his motor is really, really good. So I look for Andy Hillenburg to be a factor before the end of the day.
ESPN Speed World welcomes you live to Michigan Speedway near Brooklyn for the running of the Michigan 200 for the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde Series. It is an overcast, windy, and cool day here in southern Michigan, and yes, there is a 50% chance of rain this afternoon. Take a look at the top 10 in the point standings as we enter the 6th event of the 1998 season. On the top of the point standings is Mark Gibson by only 15 over Frank Kimmel. Kimmel has 2 victories to his credit already in 1998. Mark Gibson so far is winless. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins. Let's hope we can get this event in before a weather delay. On the front row for today's race, well, the pole sitter is Bobby Gerhardt, his first pole in ARCA competition in 103 starts. Starting next to him is Gary Layton from North Carolina. But you look to that second row, Ray Dunlap, and you find a bit of inexperience.
Well, that's for sure, Bob. When we look at that row, we're talking about a guy named Shane Yoder, who has never made a start on asphalt before, and today he's on the 2-mile track here at Michigan. And right beside him, Dennis Berry, a 3-time champion in the late model series, but he's never seen a track nearly this big. And some other drivers in that field, too, Benny. We're talking about guys like Jimmy Kite, who's only making his 2nd start in this series.
I've been trying to figure this deal out, Ray. I guess it's NASCAR's popularity. They see this thing on TV. I'm talking about the guys that run Saturday night, that have success on Saturday night, that win on the dirt tracks and asphalt tracks all across the country, and they say, I want to do this. And ARCA obviously is the best place to do it because it's the cheapest place to do it. And we've got about 6 or 8 guys here today that's never been on a racetrack bigger than a half-mile.
Should be interesting.
It's just about time to go racing here at Michigan. We'll be back with the starting lineup and the green flag in just a moment. The field begins to move off of pit road now onto the racetrack. They'll take 3 warm-ups before getting the green flag for 100 laps of racing, 200 miles of competition. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. As we told you, Bobby Gerhardt on the pole with a speed of 180.768 alongside Gary Layton from North Carolina. In the second row, the drivers that Ray Dunlap talked about, Shane Yoder and Dennis Berry. Starting in row number 3, Kirk Shelmerdine, the former crew chief for Dale Earnhardt, and Jeff Finley coming off his best finish, a second at Memphis. In the 4th row, there you find the second-place driver in the point standings, Frank Kimmel, and Greg Usher in his second start in 1998. The 5th row has Mark Gibson, the points leader, and Bill Baird from Sturgis, Kentucky. As you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, let's talk about some factors that we may encounter here this afternoon. First of all, you got to talk about the weather, because yesterday was sunny and warm when they qualified, and it's very cool and overcast this afternoon.
Well, they've been on this racetrack for 2 days, Thursday and again yesterday morning. And you're right, both those days it was fairly warm and up in the 70s, 80 degrees. And here it is today, about 65, 70 degrees. The racetrack is going to change dramatically from the last couple of days.
We saw Ron Barfield on the grid there, qualified 12th today. He's the only driver, Bob, in this field that's ever won a race here at Michigan International Speedway. So we very well may see a first-time winner today.
Bob Strait starting back on the inside of row number 12. Back in row number 13, we have Brian Kahns and Jerry Hill. Row number 14, Dan Parnas from Daytona Beach, Florida, and Doug Keller. Glenn Morgan and Andy Belmont will start back in row number 15, while Mark Stahl and Rick Harrell, former midget driver, will start in the 16th row. Scott Baker and Drew White, then Gary Weinbrower and Mike Oscar. Norm Benning and Kevin Counselor go in the next row. Starting back in row number 20, it's David Hall and Jim Lamoureux. And starting back in row number 21, the 41st starter taking the past champions provisional is Andy Hillenberg. There's the first of 3 warm-up laps completed here at Michigan as the drivers warm up their cars and get set for competition.
This is the 40 car that we're riding along with, Andy Belmont, America Online, as we take a look at our race analysis. 100 laps, the race record, a little over 142 miles per hour, set by Ron Barfield, the Ray mentioned just a moment ago. Pole speed today, a little over 180 and a half. They'll have to run, some of these cars will be able to run halfway, and if they can, it will be a huge advantage, because making one stop in case this race should go green flag. And they're racing for $150,000. There's Andy Belmont, our America Online onboard camera. This is Glenn Morgan, the Texas Marine onboard camera. Russell Landrum started back in 23rd spot. This is a Landrum spring in the L&H threaded rod. We see the U-boat there. That's supposed to be a threaded rod. Mark Gibson carries the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde onboard camera. This is looking out the rear bumper of his car. Frank Kimmel, Advanced Auto Parts onboard camera. I wish I had one of those. He has Vision Air for a sponsor. I wish I had one of those. I could be home quicker. That's a jet. Look at the blue sky up there, Bob. We talked about weather.
Yeah.
I see some blue sky.
Looking much better. We've had some very bad weather here and in this entire area the last couple of days as we took a look at the Kewatin Casinos onboard camera on the pole car of Bobby Gerhardt. Some tornadoes. In fact, a tornado touched down, I think, very close to here last evening.
Bob, that group of casinos has an awful lot of folks in the fans here, or in the stands today. A lot of fans going to be watching Bobby Gerhardt with his first career pole. All those casinos up in the upper peninsula of Michigan. A lot of folks came here to the track today going to root him on.
Down to Bill Weber in the pits for a pre-race observation.
Well, here's a real good story before we get going. Most of these guys working on Yoder's crew today are from Mark Thompson's team. Now, Mark was injured in a crash at the Atlanta Motor Speedway earlier this season. He's in Midway Island today watching on satellite. And this is Bob Bissinger, who is Mark's crew chief. First of all, just tell us how Mark's doing. His recovery's going along very well.
Bill, Mark's recovery's doing great. He's doing a real good job. He's back 100% to me.
And obviously you guys are working hard today, and he's loaning you out.
Yeah, we come up to help Ken. He's a friend of ours. Plus, it helps keep the crew sharp and ready for the races in the future.
What do you think is in Mark's future, Bob?
Well, the only thing I know is he said he'd make a decision in 30 or 40 days, and that's what we'll go on.
Okay, well, good luck here today, and when you talk to him, you tell him we said hello.
Okay, we'll do that.
And we might be able to tell him that ourselves, because like I said, he is in Midway Island and is supposed to be watching on a satellite. So, Mark, tremendous recovery. We miss you here at the racetrack, and come on back soon.
Yeah, come back soon. Either as a driver or a car owner, we don't care. Just come back.
Come and see us. Ever see Mark Gibson? We see our camera on top of his car. And this is the only Taurus in ARCA competition. And Mark was complaining that this car has got some drag.
Well, it really does, Benny, because the ARCA rules, as Bill mentioned at the top of the show, are different than the NASCAR Winston Cup. They've got a 6.5 by 57-inch spoiler on the back of that car. The one in NASCAR is only about 4 inches tall and only 55 wide, so there's an awful lot of spoiler sticking up in the air. And Mark says because the straightaways are so long here at Michigan, it's really going to hurt him today. We'll see how it plays out.
And they have to stand the spoiler up to 55 degrees. They can't lay the spoiler back, which would decrease drag. They have to stand it up. So that was the problem he was having, too much drag. But the car will fly through the corner. There's no doubt about that.
Mark Gibson, leading the points, has a top 10 finish in every single race so far this year. His worst finish was at Daytona, where he came home 10th. Good crowd on hand here. They've opened up some extra grandstands besides the main grandstand here. About 5 other grandstands have been opened to accommodate the crowd as the pace car takes the hard left and goes onto pit road. And we are about to go racing for 100 laps, 200 miles of competition, the Greenway.
Gary Layton long to open up at about a 5-6 car length advantage on Bobby Gerhardt.
That's the way they'll cross the line and complete lap number 1. Layton, your leader. Gerhardt is running in second position, and very close by in third is Shane Yoder.
First asphalt racetrack this 88 car has ever been on. He's been running on dirt. Hillenberg is trying to go through the field.
Let's see, at the end of that lap, he was in 29th position, up from 41st, and he's still passing cars through turn 2 and onto the backstretch.
Well, Andy knows a lot about that inexperience that we talked about of some of these drivers, so he is going to be careful as he goes up through there, but he doesn't want to wait too long. He wants to work his way up, whatever the car will let him do.
Passing Russell Landrum in the 85 car.
Looks at the cars out his windshield. There see Bill Baird, the 52 car. Down the low side of the racetrack, Jeff Finley in the 83. And look at Darrell Lanigan in the 29 car. He's trying to go somewhere.
He's a Kentucky driver, and they go down the backstretch wheel to wheel. Now Baird comes back a little bit. Back of him is the 83 of Jeff Finley.
These guys are battling for 8th position right there, and a pretty good job as they are side by side. Now Gibson going to have to work the high side.
That's Jimmy Kite back there in the purple car. Driver who finished 11th at this year's Indianapolis 500.
That's Jimmy Kite with the yellow spoiler on his car as Gibson goes by Finley. And meanwhile, Lanigan and Baird are still side by side. 2 Kentucky drivers, so this is for the bragging rights of the state of Kentucky. And check this out. Shane Yoder has gone into second place in the 88 car.
That make any difference that he's never driven on asphalt?
Well, we don't have an in-car camera that's looking at his knees, but I'll bet they were shaking when they threw that green flag, but he's doing a great job.
He's moved into second position now. Layton still in the lead. In fact, has a rather sizable lead. In fact, it's exactly 1 second advantage that he has over Yoder. Layton the leader, Yoder running second, and then Bobby Gerhardt.
And Gerhardt is getting a challenge.
That's Barry in the 81 car. The 61, I should say.
So our pole sitter, Bobby Gerhardt, appears to be having some problems, early on. And it could be the weather. It could be that the car is just simply too tight, will not turn in the corners.
But you see that blue sky, and in fact, the sun has been peeking through here since the green flag dropped. So the weather is definitely changing here in Michigan. Bill Weber has a report.
And Bob, just as Vinny speculated, that is the problem with the 5-car. Gerhardt told me before this race started, their car was set up for a slick track on a warm, sunny day. Now, the sun does pop out from time to time, but basically it's cool and overcast. They even changed gears on that car to try and help it along. But right now, he's not only battling the field, he's battling the weather and the track conditions.
And Frank Kimmel is also making a charge toward him. That's to be for the 4th position.
Oh, bottom of the 11th spot, Jimmy Kite, Rich Woodland in the 86 car on the inside. Woodland got down there, lost the air cushion on the outside. I thought he was going for a ride, but he backed off, saved the car.
That's Mike Cicchetti in the blue car, now coming up on the outside of Woodland and Finley.
And, Bob, we've seen Finley lose quite a few positions. He told me that the car just won't go through the corners when he's tucked up right on the back of somebody. He said the car is awesome when he's out there qualifying by himself, but in traffic, it's not very good.
You might recognize the name Rich Woodland. He is indeed the driver who has competed in many Winston West races from Templeton, California. There's Layton as he continues to lead. However, it looks like that Yoder is definitely closing in on him. He has reduced the interval from 1 second to 0.4 of a second. Back with more in just a moment from Michigan Speedway. ESPN Speed World presentation of the Michigan 200 brought to you by Turtle Wax, the world's leader in car care, and by Quaker State, sensible technology. What more do you need to know? Well, this Yoder kid is very impressive. The interval now is just a couple of car lengths as he charges toward Gary Layton, the leader of the race.
And they're running across some slower cars already, lapping cars. You're 10 laps into the race. But these cars wisely move over. Let the leaders go by. Man, I am really impressed with this Shane. And this Berry kid back in 3rd spot. The 2nd and 3rd cars have no experience on racetracks like this, and I am really impressed.
Well, the car that Shane Yoder...
Oh, we got a crash.
Oh, boy.
Caution comes out. It's Mike Oscar from Mansfield, Ohio, that is in trouble. Looks like he has had contact with the wall. Car is on the inside of the racetrack.
Well, when Mike bought this car, it came from Jeremy Mayfield in the Cranifus bunch, and he said they bought it, and the whole left side was tore off it because Jeremy crashed it at Bristol, and they had to rebuild it. Looks like they're going to have to get back to work and do it again.
Guess what? The left side's gone again.
Yep.
However, he is able to drive it away.
Wow, I'm amazed that there's a lot of damage to that car.
Sure is.
Also very happy to see him drive away. Anytime you see left side contact like that, you are concerned. There's also pretty heavy damage to the 19 cars. He goes by the start-finish line, cabin counselor. So I guess those 2 cars have made contact on the racetrack somehow.
His damage is on the right side.
The worst part about this deal is that's just a borrowed car. He borrowed that from Ray and Diane DeWitt and said, I'll bring her back in one piece. And it looks like they're going to have to get back busy, too.
First caution coming out on lap number 11 here. We had been running at an average about 174.3 miles an hour, but now our pace is slowed by this caution caused by an incident up in turn number 2. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more. Caution out here at Michigan, an incident, 2-car incident up in turn number 2. You're watching the work being done on the Mike Oscar car. Heavy left side damage, and there was right side damage on the number 19 machine of Kevin Counselor. So let's find out, if we can, exactly what happened as the work crew removes some debris from the top of the track.
It's hard to see. Up here is the picture that we're going to show you, and those 2 cars are together. They go up, they make contact. Oscar will come down, spin to the grass as we saw him start off from, and cabin counselor continues on with damage to the right side of his car.
Down to Kyle Petty.
Well, Mike Oscar's car is sitting here in the pit. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Mike Oscar's car. No, anyhow. So they're beating the right rear out. It appears to just be cosmetic damage. You know, the right front spin or the left front spindle seems to be fine. It doesn't look like the tire got up into the roll bars anywhere on the left front or on the left rear. They've just tried to beat some fenders out. The ARCA official here is trying to get them to move it behind the wall and work on it a little bit. But they're just walking around talking about it right now. He's still sitting in the car communicating with them, not really saying what happened, just trying to get it fixed so they can get back out there and get some points.
I think Counselor got back onto the racetrack, didn't he?
I believe he did.
Yeah. Well, the cleanup continues over in turn number 2. So while we have the opportunity, let's take another break. We are 12 laps into this Michigan ARCA 200, and we'll be right back. Still under caution here at Michigan. We'd like to remind you that tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN from Pikes Peak International Raceway, it's the Lycos.com 250 for the Busch Series Grand National Division. Dr. Jerry Punch will anchor the show, and Steve Park will be with him in the booth. John Kernan and Marty Reed will be in the pit area. Matt Kenseth, by the way, is on the pole with a speed of 134.193, and Joe Bessie will start alongside him in row number 1. Lycos.com 250 tomorrow at 4 Eastern on ESPN.
Real quick, tell me what car Matt Kenseth drives in the NASCAR Busch Series. Who's his sponsor?
Now, BP, I have enough problems dealing with the ARCA drivers this afternoon. I only do one...
The Lycos.com.
Oh.
He won the
Well, that
pole
makes sense, doesn't it?
for a sponsor's race. Hillenberg's doing pretty well today.
He's up to 17th.
Started back in 41st spot, so he has worked his way toward front. Just like Kyle Petty told us he was going to do at the very top of the show.
That is a really neat racetrack out in Pikes Peak. Real wide, a lot of passing like we see here in Michigan, so it should be good competition at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Bill Weber has an update on Mark Gibson, who is running back in 9th spot.
Well, Bob, Benny and Ray, you might want to pay attention to this because the crew says that part of the problem is that parachute is hidden as a spoiler on the rear end of that car. But basically, Mark's car is just a little bit tight, and he's having trouble when he's in traffic with cars in front of him. That's affecting the handling of the car. He's good with guys behind him, but he needs to get a little free air in front of him to try and rope in the leaders.
Ron Barfield in a New Holland car directly in front of him. Barfield has 1 year, so maybe these two guys can hook up and make a move toward the front.
Bob, you were talking about the Busch Series race tomorrow. I'm sure most of these drivers in the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde Series are going to be watching that race because they'll compete there later this year on July the 12th. They want to get an idea how that racetrack runs.
Yeah, they will share a program with the Silver Crown cars, I believe, which we will televise also here on ESPN. We'll take a break and be back with more just before they wave the green flag. We promised you we'd be back before the green flag, and we are. The pace car has the field up in turn number 4, but the green flag is just about to wave. That's Leighton on the left of your screen in the white and orange car, and a couple of lap cars down at the bottom. 98 is Drew White, and the 9 car is David Hall. Both of those cars are a lap down.
Oh, Dennis Berry got a terrible start. It was a very, very slow start, and they caught him napping, and he's lost about 6 spots, still losing spots as Bill Berry goes by. I'm talking about the 61 car.
Nathan Jay's the sponsorship on that number 61 car. That car is one they bought from Blaze Alexander, so we know it's a good race car. And again, this is a big learning experience for all those drivers.
Riding along with the pole sitter Bobby Gerhardt, who is back in 4th spot.
As we see a battle for 2nd spot starting to develop between Frank Kimmel and Shane Yoder. Yoder has it, Kimmel wants it. Kind of how racing works.
Back in 1996, Jimmy McCune drove that number 88 race car right here at Michigan, and that particular day they finished 4th. So we know that team's capable of having a good run here, and as you guys have said, Shane Yoder is certainly pushing the button on that car.
And Mark Thompson, as Bill Weber told us, has sent his crew up to help out Shane Yoder. He was really singing their praises, how much they had helped him down this weekend.
Kimmel once again closing in. Looked like that Yoder got a little loose up there in the third and fourth corners, allowing Kimmel to close back in on him. But the young man from Holland, Ohio, Yoder, continues to hold Kimmel's advance off.
The young man's running a nice line around the racetrack. He's not doing the things that you would expect a newcomer would do. He's going in the corners a little bit high, a little bit wide. Normally when you first get to a big racetrack like this, you want to drive it straight in. Which creates a lot of problems. Last time by, Shane Yoder was 3/4 of a second behind the leader, Gary Layton, the Tampico car, and he's checking out this time, see if he's gaining anything. Yeah, he gained 2/10.
Sure did. Back here to a battle for 9th position. That is Barfield in the 2, Gibson running the 59 there. That's Finley in the yellow car, Cicchetti in 17, and Josh Baltus in the 18.
We're on board with the number 59 car of Mark Thompson. Now they got a brand new sponsor from Janny King, and you see Mike Cicchetti going on the outside, and Benny just waved goodbye that time.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. The car just will not run down straightaway with the rear spoiler up in the air the way it is. And so a white car up high in the corner as Jeff Finley goes by on the outside of Mark Gibson.
So is Gibson learning anything? That's what I've got to wonder. He brings this Taurus, it's a brand new car, but because of the rules, I'm not sure. Was it a good move?
Well, it was not. No, it was not a good move to bring that car to Michigan, I don't think, but it will be a great car for some of the short tracks that he's going to run on this year in the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde series. He's dropped that 1-mile racetrack up at Pikes Peak. I'm sorry about that.
Yep. He's dropped back to 13th position at the moment.
These two drivers that you see, Jeff Finley on the left and Mark Gibson, had a great battle last week at Memphis, Tennessee on a brand new 3/4-mile racetrack. And as Bill talked about at the top of the show, Frank Kimmel fell out of that race early, so we do have a great points battle.
Barfield, Finley, Cicchetti, Gibson, Baltus. Great battle going off this spot.
Josh Baltus was having an awful lot of problems with that race car. It was very tight coming off the corner, and he figured he better go talk to a driver that knows a lot about setup, and he went and talked to Mark Gibson, and those two are having a great race.
You saw in your field summary there that Counselor is back behind the wall. The other car involved in that incident up in turn number 2 a few laps ago, Mike Oscar, is some 10 laps down
and sitting on pit road as we speak. And they're 3 abreast coming off turn 4. For just a second, Finley, Cicchetti, and Barfield.
Finley running a much lower line than looks like everybody else is.
Benny, Josh Baltus told me they brought a new car here this year, and it's actually 2 seconds faster than the car they ran here last year. Now, that's a big difference.
That's a big difference, but also I would guess that Josh Baltus is probably a second faster than he was last year. And the car obviously responsible for some of it as well. That's a battle for 10th spot.
Finish, Eddie's best finish of the year came at Charlotte. He finished 3rd.
And there we see Andy Belmont, the American Online car, trying to follow 3 abreast battles. Baltus goes in the corner on the inside of Gibson, right on the very bottom, and watch Belmont try to go by him on the outside.
Andy's driving a car that used to belong to Ricky Rudd, and he said, you know, I think this year we're going to get the most improved position award. He said every week we qualified terribly, but we have a pretty good race car, and looks like that one under him today is going pretty good. He's coming up on Gibson.
For you Andy Hillenberg fans, while we watch this battle, we can tell you that he has moved up to 16th and kind of stalled out there. We'll continue to keep an eye on him.
See Norm Benning slow on the bottom of the racetrack. Kirk Shelmerdine and Bill Baird are battling. They're battling for the 4th spot. Meanwhile, there we see Bobby Gerhardt, the Kuwaitan car, our pole sitter. He's falling back in the clutches of Finley and Cicchetti.
That is 9th, 10th, and 11th. Here, meanwhile, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. 86 car is Rich Woodland at the tail of that foursome.
talking to his dad down there yesterday, Rich Woodland Sr., and he said the whole family comes out. I think there's 4 kids, and all 4 kids and mom and dad all come out to cheer Rich Woodland Jr. on. Rich Woodland, the 86 car, has moved to North Carolina. As a matter of fact, he and his wife were telling me that they moved in my neighborhood. I don't know exactly what that means, but
We'll have to have him over for a barbecue in here sometime.
exactly, or they can have me over for a barbecue.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah.
Kirk Shelmerdine, of course, the former crew chief for Dale Earnhardt, has been driving in the ARCA Series for quite a few years now.
And won the race in Atlanta. We talked about Gibson losing the race in Atlanta because of the rain. Well, Shelmerdine was the recipient. The 3 car we're talking about.
You see the 52 there, the Speedy Pop popcorn number of Bill Baird. He had his best career finish at Memphis last week. Finished 5th there. Had a real strong short track car. And let me tell you what, those guys put on a battle. There was 5 or 6 different cars could win that in the last 5 laps of the race, and it was a great show.
This is Shelmerdine's 4th start of 1998. Besides his win at Atlanta, he finished 2nd at Charlotte and 15th in the opener at Daytona.
I would see a battle for 13th between this car, Andy Belmont, and Josh Baldus. That's Baldus on the outside, and I would see Hillenberg has caught this group.
He's moved up 1 more position to 15th now.
And you see all these guys going by Mark Gibson there. Gibson actually put 4 different engines in that race car this weekend, trying to see if it could go a little bit faster. They got an engine from Ernie Elliott. They put it in. They went back to the Joe Ryan motor. They tried some different things, but they figured it out. It wasn't the power plant that's holding them back, so I guess they're just going to have to try to struggle to get along here. But, boy, if it stays the way it is right now, he could lose a lot of points to Frank Kimmel.
Right now, Gary Layton is still the leader. Shane Yoder still in 2nd spot, but Yoder is now almost 2.5 seconds behind Layton. And he has and we see a pretty good battle.
That's Bill Baird, who's gone around Kirk Shelmerdine, so put Baird in the 4th position.
And that's Dennis Berry back in 61, the car that qualified 3rd and had that terrible, terrible restart just a moment ago, trying to work his way back to the front. He is back to 6th spot.
Tim Murphy's crew chiefing on that car this weekend. Of course, he worked in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for a long time, and Dennis Berry said, I need to get some experience to go up there for my very first race, and he's getting some good help there. It looks like they're doing pretty well for their first start.
Well, unfortunately, my neighbor, Rich Woodland, just lost a cylinder or something down the front straightaway. He slowed as he went by the start-finish line. Too bad. Awfully nice young man.
There is the leader, Gary Layton, who started on the outside of the front row and has led every lap so far. Coming up to pass the 51 car of Joe Cooksey and put him a lap down. He is running in 30th position, so now 29 cars are on the lead lap as we have completed 29 circuits of the 100 that will make up the ARCA Michigan 200. We'll be back in just a moment with more from Michigan Speedway. Welcome back to Michigan Speedway, where the Michigan ARCA 200 continues. Now 32 laps in the books. ESPN's boxing series continues tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time from Trump Taj Mahal Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. It's a 10-rounder super featherweight bout featuring Floyd Mayweather out of Las Vegas, who is 16-0-0 with 13 KOs against Tony Pep from Canada, 39-6-0. That's at 10 o'clock tomorrow night on The Deuce.
Shane Yoder, 88 car, has been losing some spots. During the break, the 46 car goes by. Now he's lost 4 spots, and there's a battle right now between 5th spot. Bill, what's going on with Shane Yoder?
Benny, he's running hot, and they're talking about bringing him in now to check the grill and to see if they can improve the situation. But basically, the handling is going away a little bit. The number one concern, though, is the car is starting to get very, very hot.
There is some pretty good debris on the grill of that car, Bill. That might be that. Look on the bottom grill. There is quite a bit, and they might have, as cool as it was today, they might have taped that top grill up.
Well, he's fallen back to 4th position now. That's Bill Baird in the 52 car, just ahead in 3rd, and Frank Kimmel is just ahead of Baird, who's running 2nd.
That's what I was talking about.
Yep.
And the top grill right underneath the Ford logo, it could be that it was taped up.
Also during break, we saw that the guy who started in 8th position, Greg Usher, was going very slowly into the pits with smoke coming from the car, and we assume that that is a serious mechanical problem for him.
As we watch the Shane Yoder car coming off the second corner, I'm going to try to show you what I was talking about. I guess I won't be able to do that. Meanwhile, Bill Baird has caught the 46 car off Frank Kimmel. So Bill Baird, the 52 car, is going somewhere. Meanwhile, here's another guy that's going somewhere. Andy Hillenberg goes by a pole sitter into 11th spot. And there goes Andy Belmont by. So Gerhard, the pole sitter, struggling. And we saw some raindrops just a couple of moments ago on Glenn Morgan's onboard camera. And you know these guys do not want to pit now. You know, just knowing that the caution flag will come out as soon as they pit. And besides, only 36 laps. If they pit now and the caution doesn't come out, they got to pit again.
Well, we'll take a lap here with Andy and see if we can see more rain on the lens of our camera. There wasn't a great deal of rain, just a few sprinkles. And you can see some dark clouds over turn 4 from this shot, turns 3 and 4. But other than that, we have fairly bright skies and even sunshine at times. I don't think there's much rain falling right now.
And a pretty strange racetrack out there right now, because there's certain spots where you've got sun and certain where they're not. And Shane Yoder in the 88 car is on the way to the pits.
So the young man who ran second for so long before dropping back a few spots is on pit road heading for his pit box.
And look at all that debris on the bottom part of his grill. Bill Weber.
37 laps on the board, and they will go to work to clean off that grill, hopefully. And it is heavily taped, Benny, as you had speculated. He's going to get right side tires and a full load of fuel, and they've got the right sides on. Then they're not going to. Now they are going to change the left side tires. They've already loosened the lugs, yanking off the left side. So far, they have not gone to the grill. Now they go to the grill, brush it off, they peel off the tape, peel off a little more, grab some more, try again, and then we stalls it out. We'll have to push start. So that's part of the learning experience. And Yoder's away, long stop.
Now he just got to hope that all the rest of these cars have to make a pit stop on the green flag. Otherwise, he's going to be a lap or two down.
Watching 4th and 5th here, Shelberdine on the left, and coming up quickly is the 61 of Dennis Berry. Another one of those young guys that started in the second row.
You see him by Bob Strait there.
Yeah, boy, Bob Strait a little bit off the pace today, not running very well.
Another pit stop being made. That's Jimmy Kite here on the 39th circuit.
Trying to get the car full of fuel. Wow. Only 40 laps into the race, and he had to wait to fill the tank up. Meanwhile, a couple other cars coming down pit road. But trust me, some of these cars will... Glenn Morgan, one of those cars coming down pit road.
Obviously, these cars are going to have to make 2 stops. There were some who thought that only 1 would be necessary. And Morgan finds his pit box, and the crew comes out to go to work on the right side of the car.
As we're watching this, Bill Baird is now less than 3 seconds behind the leader, Gary Layton. So right now, Baird in that 52 car is by far the fastest car in the field. Right rear tire having some trouble.
Got it full of fuel. They're waiting on the right rear tire changer to get his work done. Jack goes down, just right side tires, and Glenn Morgan from Beaumont, Texas is back in competition.
Glenn Morgan finished 7th here at Michigan last year, which is his best career run. Certainly like to duplicate that today, or maybe better.
While Gary Layton just continues to cruise around, he now has a 2.87-second lead on Bill Baird. His last lap was 171.478 for Layton.
Baird's lap was a little bit quicker, but Darrell Lanigan back in 6th spot had the fastest lap that last time of 171.748.
You know, Betty, back in 1993, 94, and 95, Jeff Purvis won this race, driving for James Finch in the 4 car, and they use Hutter engines. And That's exactly what's under the hood of the number 74 car, a Ron Hutter engine. It's a pretty strong one.
Josh Baldus making a pit stop. Kyle Petty is watching.
Josh Baldus rolled to a stop in his pit. Out of gas. They sprayed ether in it to get it going. That's 42 laps on the board, and he's out of fuel. As he gets ready to leave here, he stalls it. He's got to run it again. They're flipping ignition switches in there. They're talking to him. No transmission. His transmission's out of it. They're trying to get it. They're pushing it, but there's steam and water coming out from under it.
So Josh Baldus, who is the grandson of Earl Baldus, who owns Eldora Speedway in the western part of Ohio, having problems here. And Barry, meanwhile, is doing very well.
He goes
61.
He goes by Jeff Finley, the 83 car, and here comes Gerald Lanigan. That white car is the one I was telling you. The last lap was the fastest, had the fastest lap of the top 6.
We didn't see much of Darrell Lanigan in 1997. He went back and ran a lot of dirt racing. He won 10 races last year. He made enough money. He said, I think I can get back out there and do some super speedway racing, having a good run.
It's Lanigan's third start of 1998 in the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde series. He finished 4th at Atlanta and 7th at Charlotte. Finley goes to the inside and picks up a position over Dennis Berry.
There's our leader, Gary Layton, goes by, completes another lap. 44 laps down now.
And only 14 cars are on the lead lap as Layton is really mowing him down. That 30 car just ahead of him, the driver Mark Boyd from Marine, Illinois, is the next to go a lap down.
Biggest racetrack he's ever been on. I think maybe a half mile, he said, was the biggest racetrack Mark Boyd had been on before coming to Michigan.
He runs in the UMP series, finished 2nd in the points the last couple of years over there, and he made a little bit of money, too, to come do this. But you're right, Benny. It looks like he is in danger of going down the lap to a very fast Gary Layton.
But he realizes that, as you can see, he has picked up the pace quite a bit. But in the meantime, he hasn't picked up the pace that much. That time, Gary Layton only ran a little under 170 miles per hour. Some of his competition, 172 miles per hour. So he's losing a lot of time as he follows Mark Boyd. Now he goes by.
Jeff Finley had the fastest lap, the most recent one completed at 172.856. He's running back in 5th position. Mark Gibson comes in for a pit stop. Bill Weber.
And he brings his brand new Ford Taurus to a stop, and that crew will go to work. His brother Tony told me they're going to try and help the handling of that car, but every time he pulls out to pass somebody, it's just so tight he has to get back in line. They clean off the grill. He only took 2 tires, just 2 right side tires. So there's a gamble here, less than halfway through this race.
Mark Gibson has finished 2nd in races here at Michigan the last 2 years. And Layton is out of gas.
Must be out of gas. Goes in turn 1 and see him wiggling the car back and forth, trying to find another drop of fuel. They were trying to make it to halfway. 4 laps to go. Golly, what a tough break.
He had been the front runner since the drop of the green flag. In fact, it opened up a lead somewhere around 4 seconds there for a few laps. And it looks like that Andy Belmont has done the same thing.
There's 4 or 5 cars that look to be coasting on turn 4 now, coming down the pit road. We see Andy Belmont going in turn 3. He's out of fuel. Meanwhile, Frank Kimmel's on pit road. There was the 83 car, Jeff Finley. Bill Baird's on pit road. The pole sitter.
Barry and Gerhardt are also coming in. Let's go to Kyle Petty.
Well, Bill Baird is not out of gas. He came in under his own power. He told him 2 laps to go. Get ready anytime now. And he also said, please, no changes. They're changing right side tires. Got the first can of gas in, come to the second can of gas. Second can of gas in, get ready to drop it. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
Frank Kimmel is on pit road. He's taken 2 right side tires, and he's waiting for fuel. So 2 tires also for Kimmel. He's away. Meanwhile, Layton continues to creep slowly down pit road. His car is not running. Barrett has returned to the race. The 74 pulls to his pit. They'll go to work with tires and fuel, and of course the big key will be getting that car refired. They go around to the right side. They'll almost certainly just take 2 tires, but they've lost valuable track position. They make a chassis adjustment. The right side tire is being bolted on. Fuel is in. I would think they need more fuel. Yeah, they need the second can. Now let's see, they're going to come around, and they will make a 4-tire stop. This is clearly costing Layton very, very valuable time on the racetrack. So the fuel going in, the tires going on. Now the big question is, will they be able to get that car refired and get him back up to speed? Apparently so. He kicks it into gear, and Layton's back in the race, but he has lost a lot of track position.
And of course, Benny, the thing would run out of gas coming off turn 4. It was coming out of turn number 2, and he lost a lot of positions. Andy Belmont, they're pushing his car to get it started. Kyle Petty.
Andy Belmont came in dead silent. It's weird being down here on pit road. About 2/3 of the cars that are coming in are cut off. They're just coasting. They put 2 cans of gas in, put right side tires, and they pushed him all the way to the other end of pit road. And I say they finally got him going, but his crew's got a long walk back, guys.
Yeah, indeed, he is moving now out onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, Kirk Shelmerdine has picked up the lead of the race, and he has not yet stopped for fuel.
And he just completed the halfway, so he can make it on 1 stop. Wow, what a huge advantage. We see some raindrops on that camera.
Shelmerdine still at full speed.
He goes by Gary Weinbroer. That's Mark Stahl, the 32 car, direct in front of him.
The guy who really picked up a lot of positions there was Mark Gibson. He had a 13-second stop, took on 2 tires only, and he's all the way up to 7th position right now. But how long can he hold on there?
And Shelmerdine is still not going to come in the pits.
Ron Barfield is slow. Looks like he may be out of gas.
He was running in 3rd spot as he coasted into the 3rd turn. Boy, this is so doggone costly, having to coast at 35 miles per hour, and the rest of them going about 175 miles per hour. Mike Giacchetti still has not stopped, so right now, Shelmerdine Giacchetti able to keep going.
Ron Barfield is just now approaching turn number 4 with no power. Every second is valuable. There's Shelmerdine at the end of the backstretch, about to complete lap number 52. But will he be coming in for a pit stop? Well, he's stretching it, isn't he?
Man, oh, he's continuing to go.
Wow.
But it's raining. The problem is right now that he doesn't want to pit because it's raining. But if they shouldn't throw the caution flag because of rain, he probably will run out of gas somewhere on the racetrack at slow speed.
Quite honestly, the sky does not look like it's going to be a rain out here, maybe a small shower. The 17 car of Giacchetti finally comes in.
The 2nd place car, so only 1 car has not made their pit stop, and that is Kirk Shelmerdine. As we see Barfield sitting there, Bill Weber.
Giacchetti pulls to a stop. They'll have to clean the grill on his car as well. His car is not running at this point, it doesn't appear. So they'll shove in the fuel, they'll change the right side tires, they'll also come around and change the left side. Remember, they have the 3rd air gun here in ARCA, so they're able to loosen those lug nuts. Now Giacchetti tries to fire it, but it won't catch. It roared briefly, but did not stay running. Waiting for the jack to go under and lift up the left side so they can put on those tires. They clean off the grill. There's 1 rain cloud here in Michigan, and it's over the front stretch. Some heavy drops are falling. The 77 scoots off pit road. Now Giacchetti waiting. They drop the car. They clean the grill. They're going to have to push him to get him going. So Giacchetti also a victim of fuel here. And they don't have far to push him because they're going to run out of pit road, and the rain begins to get heavier. Now the caution comes out. Caution on the Speedway.
And I think the 3 cars out of fuel.
Shelmerdine comes off the corner. He was going to come in, apparently, and decided not to since the caution is out. And the caution is because of the shower. And you're right, Bill Weber. There's 1 black cloud, and it's right over the front straightaway and putting down some raindrops.
Now, this is going to be interesting because when are they going to open the pits? There we see the pace car come out. Shelmerdine was coming in the pits that lap and did not because the caution flag was out.
Now, if he has to go a lap and a half, he may be in trouble.
Exactly. That's my point. He might not be able to make it back. We see right now pit road is closed. When this pace car goes by, they will open pit road, I'm sure. Will he be able to make it?
54 laps in the race now and 3 pace laps, Benny. That's a long way.
Sure is.
If he can make it, look at the rain on Glenn Morgan's onboard camera. Right now, Kirk Shelmerdine is the only car in the lead lap.
And he would be able to make his stop under caution and continue that way.
Wow, what a huge turn of events.
So a big break for Kirk Shelmerdine if the pit road is open this time and if he doesn't run out of fuel before he gets to the pit. A few raindrops still falling here along the tri-oval area of Michigan Speedway, but it's a very light shower, and it's not going to keep us under caution very long, I don't believe.
There we go.
Yep, he's opening the pits, and so Shelmerdine is going to be in good shape, it looks like.
Man, oh man, what a gamble, but he was able to make it. Has a 2-mile advantage on his closest pursuer, which is Bill Baird.
Wow, everybody else a lap down. Shelmerdine is the only car on the lead lap.
Coming down at the speed limit.
And it really doesn't make any difference whether he's coasting. He might be here, but in any case, he will be able to make it to the pit box and get the fuel and get back out there and continue to be on the lead lap by himself. Bill, he's almost there.
And the crew waits patiently, and we'll find out if the car is running or not. Shelmerdine slides to a stop, and the car is running. So he was not out of fuel, although he had told his crew whether pit road was open or not, he was going to come in on this lap. So Shelmerdine will get his right side tires, and I guarantee you this will be a darn near perfect pit stop. It may not be the fastest one, but they'll get it done right. Get the right side tires, they'll come around and give Kirk his left side tires and shove all the fuel they can in there. And obviously great mileage so far. And now he wants this windshield cleaned a little bit better, sitting there calmly directing people. Now he gives the thumbs up. Left rear is on, waiting on the left front, sliding it into position. Obviously this is under caution, and he's in pretty good shape right now. So like I said, they take their time. He's got the fuel, it's in gear, and I'd say it's his race to lose right now, guys.
Yeah, very slow, meticulous work by the crew members, making sure everything was just fine, and even a slow getaway for Kirk. A couple of cars did not make it toward pit road.
These LP gas. It's amazing when they have gas on the side of the car when he's obviously out of fuel, begging to face it to a truck. Tow truck, please push this car, get me back to pits, and okay, we'll give you a shove.
That's Jim Lamoureux, who has stalled up between turns 3 and 4. Well, we are 55 laps into this 100-lap race at Michigan Speedway. Kirk Shelmerdine, the only car on the lead lap. We'll be right back. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Michigan ARCA 200 is being brought to you by the more than 1,900 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Under caution here at Michigan Speedway, 56 laps are in the books, and Kirk Shelmerdine is the leader of the race.
About 2 miles. Well, almost 2 miles, because some of the cars are in front of him. Almost a lap down. We see several cars coming back on the pit road. Ever see Ron Barfield? Now he's almost 2 laps down. He will be 2 laps down when he gets back on pit on the racetrack. So he really suffered by running out of fuel. We see Glenn Morgan in the pits changing right sides.
And some of the guys who pitted at lap 35-40 also, of course, came back in to top off because they could not make it, but now they will be able to go the rest of the way. There is Shane Yoder, who ran so well in the beginning of the race, finds himself now still in the top 10, back in 9th spot.
So 2 times rain has been a big factor for Kirk Shelmerdine so far in 1998. Bringing that yellow out here really, really helped him.
Sure did. Now, what needs to happen to a bunch of these cars is stay in front of Kirk Shelmerdine and hope they get another caution flag, and they go back and they're racing him for the lead. But right now, he has almost a 2-mile advantage on most all the cars.
Take a look at the AutoZone mid-race recap. Shelmerdine has led only 11 of the 57, had 2 lead changes, a couple of caution periods, and an average speed just a little more than 135.5 miles an hour. Only 2 leaders, Layton and Shelmerdine. We do have some cars that are out of the race, including Rich Woodland. A couple of these cars were involved in an incident up in turn number 2, Counselor and Oscar. Everybody else is still running. 36 cars remain on the racetrack.
This is Russell Landrum that you're riding along with.
Well, the sun is now shining here on the front stretch. We actually went caution because of a rain shower, but now the weather is improving greatly, and we should be back to racing in just a few moments. On June 20th, the world's finest alternative athletes will again descend on San Diego. For 9 days, these front riders of expressionism will test the limits of aerial acrobatics, redefine speed, and challenge the laws of gravity. The X Games, the ultimate thrill ride coverage starting on June the 20th.
Well, we're getting ready. We're lining up for a restart, and we see the Saxon car is the leader. Now, all these cars in front of him on the outside line on the tail end of the lead lap.
They include Bill Baird, Andy Hillenburg, Dennis Berry, and also Mike Cicchetti. Those 4 cars are at the tail end of the lead lap, but they're ahead of Kirk Shelmerdine, who is the leader of the race as we go back to green.
So Gary Layton on the bottom of the racetrack, the car that led 35 or 36 laps. There we see him, the white car, back in second spot on the inside. He is now almost 2 laps down to the leader, Kirk Shelmerdine. So that running out of fuel going in turn 1. Whew, how expensive that was.
Costly.
Now, Cicchetti and Berry and Hillenburg and Baird are all hoping that very quickly they get another yellow flag and they would get to come back around and get back in the lead lap with Kirk Shelmerdine. Frank Kimmel, on the other hand, he's got a different challenge. He needs to get by that 3 car in a hurry.
Riding along with Frank Kimmel. Currently second in the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde points. And there's our leader, the 3 car, Kirk Shelmerdine.
We're going to be going back to racing on lap number 61 at the completion of 60. So we'll have 40 more laps to go to see if Kirk Shelmerdine can hang on here and win his second race.
Green.
It's a terrible, terrible start in that 61 car.
Oh, he sure does. He bunched him up there for a moment. I thought we were going to have a crash.
Inside.
And Shelmerdine, oh, they do have a crash.
Big crash up in turn 2 between 1 and 2. Car still spinning.
Sandy Belmont's trying to get his car going again, sitting up against the wall. Now we've got some cars trying to run their way back to trying to beat the leader back to the pits. Josh Ball is sitting down. There we see all those cars trying to beat the leader, Shelmerdine, back to the pit, back to the line.
Just like Ray said, these guys wanted a quick caution so they can get back behind and on the same lap as Shelmerdine, and they do.
But now they need to get slowed down because there's still cars sitting sideways in turn 2. So as they get back on the lead lap, now it's time to obey the caution.
Well, it looks like that everybody kept going, or at least everybody is off of the racing service itself. Baltus is at the apron of the racetrack. Let's see what happened here. Well, there's contact. Belmont and Baltus making contact.
Baltus goes up the racetrack. For some reason, the car just veered to the right. He goes up, makes contact with Belmont. And all these other cars, we see Mark Stahl up the 32 car banging the wall. And another car spinning on the bottom of the racetrack. One more look. Now we see the contact between 18 and 40.
And way up high on the racetrack, you see the 83 car of Jeff Finley just squeezed around that crash and got ahead of it.
Now from Andy Belmont's onboard camera, we should be able to see good indication of what happened.
Man, did he have a run going or what? There we see Baltus.
Andy Belmont has made it to his pit box. Baltus still on the racetrack. They're working, of course, on the right front of that car. Kyle Petty is watching.
The right front is towed way out, about a foot. The other cars that have come in so far just have cosmetic damage. Things have gone through the grill, fenders, stuff like that. This car's got extensive steering damage. The right front's towed out. You can see them over there. I'm getting it right this time, Benny. It's the right front. The right front over there, the beating on the fender. It's probably stretched the tie rods and stuff. They're going to have to come in and out 2 or 3 times and reset the front end. Left side looks pretty decent. Just the tire mark right in front of the left rear tire. They're getting him to straighten the right front wheel, and every time he straightens it and makes it straight, the left front's towed out. So they're going to have to work on this thing a little bit.
Now we've got something going on the racetrack that I don't understand, but as we watch this...
Maybe they don't race back to the caution. Maybe their position was frozen, and if so, those cars that we talked about getting the lap back did not.
I believe the new rule in ARCA is that you only race back to the caution in the last 10 laps of the race, and that is a safety precaution. And as we talked about with those cars wrecked down in turn 1, they don't want them racing back to get to the caution, so that will change the lineup.
Wow. So here we were raving about these guys getting a lap back, being right on the back bumper of the 3 car. That's not the case. They're still in front of the 3 car.
Yep. Okay, well, while the work continues down there on that Andy Belmont car, we will take a break here and show you again why we're under caution at Michigan Speedway. Still under caution here at Michigan Speedway as 63 laps have been completed. And it's a rather confusing situation here because the pace car did not pick up the leader when the caution waved on. And so Shelmerdine is still back there 5th in line.
We think that those 4 cars should pass the pace car and come back around the racetrack and make up that 2 miles on the 3 car. But so far, they have not allowed them to do that. And they didn't really race back to the line, folks. We talked about a rule to race back to the line. They didn't race back to the line. They were in front of him all the time.
That's right. Their position was frozen, but they were ahead of the leader. And so the pace car picks up the leader, or so it's always been. And so, Bill, what's going on?
What makes you think I know? I can't help you a little bit, though, with Mike Cicchetti. His crew chief and his crew have been discussing with the ARCA official down here that they belong in front of the 3, and when they finally decide what they're doing with everybody in front of the 3, they should get to go along. But I believe the claim now is that the 17 passed the 3 after the yellow came out. The crew is arguing that the lap before the 17 was in front of the 3 and belongs in front of him now. And that's, well, let's say that's what they're continuing to discuss down here right now. They want Cicchetti to go around Kirk and to be able to come around when they move these other guys who should be behind the 3 into the proper position. You get all that, Bob?
Sure.
Well, and really, Bob, that's why this creates such a big problem of why whether you should race back to the yellow or not. Because if you could freeze the field right when the yellow comes out and know where everyone had a position, you wouldn't have to race back to the yellow. And I think it's a good move not to race back to the yellow. But the problem is, amongst these gentlemen out on the racetrack, sometimes they don't always see it the same way. They make a pass, and as the officials, you cannot freeze the field only when they come across the start-finish line.
Well, let's take a look once again at the field summary. We see Kirk Shelmerdine is the leader. Baird and Hillenberg, they're directly in front of him on the racetrack. That's why they're in the lead lap. They're almost 2 miles behind. And all these other cars are 1 lap down.
Down through the 16th position, we have cars that are a lap down. Then we have 5 that are 2 laps down, several 3 laps down. And Cooksey, as you can see, is now 4 laps down to the leader.
Now then, they're led in the 52, Baird, the 80 of Hillenberg. They've let those cars pass the pace car and go around the racetrack and make up the 2 miles, as it should be.
Yes.
And right when they hit the start-finish line, now they're in the same lap.
Right. All right, Kyle Petty.
Yes, these guys have been arguing about this. The problem is there's 4 or 5 cars that are arguing about where their position is on the track. There's only 1 radio and 1 line of communication from pit road up to the tower. So everybody's saying their piece. Now they've got these 2 guys straight, but there's 4 or 5 more of them standing in line. A byproduct of all this that's going on with the scoring snafu and everything that's happening is these guys are riding around under caution. So the fuel mileage issue just went out the window.
That's right. Well, Cicchetti was ahead of Shelmerdine when the green flag dropped.
Yes, he was.
But I don't know if he was when the yellow flag waved.
He was, but he raced Shelmerdine and repassed him because Shelmerdine passed him on the backstretch, and he passed Shelmerdine before he got back to the line for the caution.
If you could take a giant snapshot from up in the air of where every car was right when the yellow came out, it would solve this whole problem in every racing division.
Now, Andy Hillenberg is doing something pretty wise. He made a pit stop.
Okay, well, we continue to sort it out and get set for a restart. There is Andy Hillenburg as he's in for new right side rubber.
There you go. That's pretty doggone good smart. He's going to stop. He's in the lead lap. He's going to change 4 tires. He's got a little bit of advantage right now.
Yes,
Attaboy, Andy.
And he started 41st.
That's right, and he's now up to 3rd position, but on the same lap as the leader, and we'll have 4 fresh tires when we go back to racing, which should be very quickly, but we are going to sneak a quick break in here from Michigan Speedway. It's the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde 200, and we'll be right back. Well, it's Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight on ESPN at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. The Red Wings and the Capitals. Detroit with an incredible comeback on Thursday night. Down 2 goals, they come back to win it in overtime, and they seek their 3rd consecutive victory tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN.
Well, Mike Giacchetti so far has lost his argument that he should be in front of the 3 car and go around. He still is. And here's what he's arguing about. The cars are coming down for the caution flag. There's the leader of the black car, Kirk Shelmerdine. And there we see Bill Baird, Andy Hillenburg, and a couple of other cars. They will come down to the line first. Mike Giacchetti got to the line before the leader, Kirk Shelmerdine, but as Ray tells us in ARCA rules, you aren't supposed to pass coming down the caution flag. Giacchetti did that, and that's why the ARCA officials are keeping him back there.
And you saw the very next car to come across the line was the 46 of Frank Kimmel, and Kimmel said, I know we don't race back there, so I'm going to stay behind the leader. So Kimmel, as we restart, will be a lap down.
And the caution remains out here at Michigan.
You know, we see the 17 car there, Mike Giacchetti. He wanted me to send out a special wish to his Aunt Tina. His Aunt Tina has a very serious case of cancer, and she's battling it right now. And a whole bunch of the crew members in the 17 car shaved their head this week. And they said, well, we're going to look like Aunt Tina when we go stand in victory lane, but it's going to get pretty tough today.
Bill Baird is in, Kyle Petty.
Well, forget everything I said before. The fuel mileage thing is not an issue because these guys are pitting and putting fuel in their cars. Baird comes in, changes left side tires. We saw Andy Hillenburg come in, change 4 tires, and fill up with fuel. He has nothing to lose. Baird's in the same position. There's only 3 cars in the lead lap right now. He's one of them. He comes in, puts on fresh lefts, fills up with fuel. Now it's not an issue with him either.
All right, now those other 2 white cars that we saw just a moment ago beat the leader back to the pits. Now the ARC officials have given Gary Layton and Darrell Lanigan their lap back as well. So now those cars are, as we see Gary Layton, but he is still 1 lap down, as is Darrell Lanigan.
Layton also comes in for a pit stop.
So the fuel mileage thing really was a big factor for Gary Layton, who ran out of fuel earlier and put himself in position to be 2 laps down. Even though he gained 1 of those back now, he had clearly the strongest race car out on the track in the first 40 laps.
Well, it's a rather lengthy caution and no indication yet that we'll be going back to green, so we'll take another break and be right back with more from Michigan Speedway near Brooklyn. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ray Dunlap, Kyle Petty, and Bill Weber back at Michigan Speedway for the Michigan ARCA 200. 69 laps are about to be complete under caution. The top 5 are Kirk Shelmerdine, Andy Hillenburg, Bill Baird. 4th position is Giacchetti, a lap down, and 5th is Frank Kimmel, who is also a lap down. And the indication is being given now. 1 more lap to go, and we'll be green again.
And fuel should be a non-issue. We should be able just to determine this with who has the best car. Right now, I would think that Shelmerdine has to be a little bit concerned about Bill Baird in that 52 car. Also Hillenburg, because they have Bill Baird, before the caution ball, this car started running out of fuel back about lap 30-35, was the fastest car on the racetrack.
Hear anything dragging, Andy? Not at all. Right, they making a stop. Bring it in. Let's look at it. We'll go right back out.
Andy Belmont in 33rd position was involved in a crash.
That was his crew chief, Jeff McClure, there on the radio saying if you need to bring it back in, we'll take a look at it. Next time by, we should see the green flag.
Jimmy Kite there in the number 45 car, shown in 11th position.
we see Giacchetti on the inside. Trying to get in position to get his lap back.
There is Hillenburg in the 80 car who started last, 41st.
And now is in second spot.
But a bunch of cars with fresh tires and loaded up with fuel and ready to go back to racing.
They are about to cut him loose once again as the pace car is about to turn off the racetrack. And
is that the 61 car on the outside line in third spot? If it is, he's had a terrible start so far.
Much better this time, Benny.
Yeah, this time he was able to get it up to speed. Almost up to speed.
Marfield trying to pass him on the outside. Meanwhile, up front, Giacchetti and Kimmel are right there with Shelmerdine, both trying to get back on the lead lap.
We're watching this from our pole sitter, Bobby Gearhart. He's in sixth spot, one lap down to the leader, Shelmerdine. Kimmel gets alongside.
Ooh. Oh, man, they're close over there.
Gerhardt thought they were awfully close, so he backed off just a little bit that time, but now he's right back up on the bumper.
Well, Giacchetti, and there's Kimmel bumping his way into the lead lap. So now we have 5 cars that are on the lead lap, although 4th and 5th, Giacchetti and Kimmel are almost a lap down.
Shelmerdine realizes that he needs to go as fast as he can right now because Bill Baird and Hillenburg will be coming in just a minute as the 46 car Kimmel goes by Giacchetti.
Giacchetti goes way up high on the racetrack. The car slides high on him, and now Shelmerdine trying to get him back a lap. And here is a replay of Kimmel getting on the lead lap.
He gets in, he doesn't want to ruin his angle getting in the corner, so he has to kind of get up really close to that 3 car. And Shelmerdine wisely said, hey, I'm leading the race. He's a lap down. I think I'll just back off and let him go. Now we see Shelmerdine trying to put a lap on Mike Giacchetti, the 17 car.
But guys, Kurt Shelmerdine is running his car a lot harder than he did in the first part of this race, as now Dennis Berry is going to try to get back on the lead lap in the Nathan J61, and he does.
So now we have 6 cars that are on the lead lap.
And here comes Gearhart, the 5 car, trying to do the same thing.
He's running 7th.
Of course, Gerhardt was the pole winner today. Here, his first ever career pole on a super speedway. Really of any kind. First career pole in ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde Racing. What a good run for Dennis Berry today, huh, BP?
Terrific run, just a super run. Been most impressive.
I said at the top of the show that Dennis Berry was a 3-time late model champion. Well, that was in a series they call Iceman, which runs in Ohio and Indiana and a lot of different racetracks. And Dennis Berry has been very impressive in that kind of racing. Looks like he's doing pretty well in these big, heavy cars, too.
Just a little over 25 laps to go in this race. 50 miles.
The best thing in the world that could ever happen for Frank Kimmel, Mike Giacchetti, and Dennis Berry is for the yellow flag to come out right now so they can get back around and try to race Kurt Shelmerdine.
It didn't, though.
No.
Now Hillenburg is in second and almost 3 seconds down as we take a look at a field summary. Baird is almost 6 seconds back.
Tell you what, Dennis Berry is really closed up on the back of Shelmerdine, making a run in the corner, trying to get by. I guess Shelmerdine just went by him, didn't he?
Yeah, that position changed on the racetrack in that last lap.
Yes.
but we do not see Andy Hillenberg until way back there in the back of the screen. So a good bit of distance between the first and second place car, even as we speak.
3 1/3 seconds between Shelmerdine and Hillenberg. We'll check and see if Hillenberg is able to close. Meanwhile, Bill Barrett is back 6 seconds, about 6 1/4 seconds behind the leader.
And the fastest lap that last time around was Shelmerdine as he ran 174.7, and the next best was 173.3. There is Hillenberg running in second spot.
Andy's making his 40th start today here in the ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde Series, and of course he was the champion back in 1995.
He's losing ground. He's a little over 3.5 seconds behind Shelmerdine now. So Kurt, he sees the checkered flag in the air and he says, I got to go.
And again, among the three, Shelmerdine had the fastest speed that last lap. There is Kirk, who continues to lead here with 5 cars on the lead lap and 77 circuits completed. The Michigan ARCA 200 will be right back with more. Full day of race coverage coming up tomorrow on ESPN2 and ESPN, beginning at 10:30 in the morning on The Deuce. RPM today. NASCAR today is at 12:30. The Lycos.com 250 Busch Series Grand National Division competition from Pikes Peak International at 4 Eastern Time on ESPN. And then back on The Deuce for RPM tonight at 9:30 tomorrow night. Again, Matt Kenseth on the pole for tomorrow's Busch Series race. Dr. Jerry Punch and Steve Park in the booth. Well, nothing much has changed since we went away. It's still Kirk Shelmerdine with now almost a 5-second lead on Andy Hillenberg. And over Bill Baird, even a wider margin, 5 1/4 seconds, 7 1/4 seconds.
So right now, Kirk Shelmerdine is faster than the cars running second and third. The only cars faster than him right now are the 46, and the 17 continues to run in front of him. Both these cars seem to be a little bit faster, but they're almost a lap down.
With 18 laps to go, I got to believe Kirk Shelmerdine drove a pretty thinking man's race today, because he took it pretty easy in the first part of the race, saved that fuel, and now he's running as hard as the car will go.
There's Jeff Finley in that yellow car down on the bottom of the racetrack. He's in 7th spot, running right behind the leader. And he is racing with the 61 of Dennis Berry. That is a battle for the 6th position.
Now, these two drivers have raced each other an awful lot over the years, Bob. Jeff Finley won championships at Spartan and Owasso Speedway and Michigan Ideal, all the little short tracks up here in Michigan, and he and Dennis Berry have had some pretty good races.
Let's not forget about Bobby Gerhardt, who is also in that battle. There is the number 5 car.
6th, 7th, and 8th running together.
It's very well maybe the first time you folks at home have seen that 83 car with Jeff Finley in it. Billy Venturini used to drive that car, and Finley took it over last week at Memphis and had a great run.
There is second place Andy Hillenberg, almost 5 1/2 seconds behind Shelmerdine. Hillenberg's 4th start in ARCA competition this year. His best finish was at Daytona, came home 3rd. He was 8th at Atlanta and 14th at Charlotte.
See Hillenberg go by, and guess what? There comes Bill Baird. 3rd place car is now about a 1.5 seconds behind Hillenberg. Gary Layton, the outside pole sitter, back in 10th spot after he ran out of fuel going down in turn 1. There's Hillenberg as he goes by Mark Stahl, the 32 car.
Mark is 5 laps down in 30th position.
Well, we talked about how lucky it would be for a handful of these drivers to have a caution flag come out, but with just 15 laps to go, they need it to happen pretty quickly or it's not going to be much of an advantage.
Fastest among those cars on the lead lap last time was Bill Baird as he continues to close in on second place Andy Hillenberg. The average speed of the race after numerous cautions and a couple of lengthy cautions, 118.5 miles an hour.
Never seen Frank Kimmel go by. Getty. There's Frank Kimmel. Advance Auto Parts for Chevrolet.
Now, Kimmel has really checked out away from that last group there, but what a disadvantage to him of having been a lap down there. Of course, he's back in the tail end of the lead lap this time, but without a caution, it's not going to mean much.
Now we see the battle for second spot, and Baird has caught him.
Indeed, and Baird had the fastest lap last time around, 172.8. You compare that with Hillenberg's 171.5 and Shelmerdine's 169.6.
And here comes Baird closing up right on the back bumper of Hillenberg. Will probably try to make that pass down the front stretch. Well, didn't get that close that time. Can he do it in the corner?
Got a good run going here. Goes to the inside of Hillenberg.
Almost. He stuck, but was not able to run as hard as he's been running through that corner. Last lap by, Bill Baird ran 173 miles per hour. Shelmerdine is back to 167.
And Baird goes to second place.
Well, Bill Baird's super speedway finishes have not reflected how well he's run in his career. Of course, last year in February, he finished fourth down at Daytona. That was his first start, and he said, man, I love this. He's really having a good time doing that. But today, it looks like his finish just might be as good as his car is.
Now,
Hillenberg, something happened to Hillenberg, and something is happening to the leader. Shelmerdine.
Oh, we got a crash.
Oh, heavy damage up.
Mark Brenner into the wall hard, the back end of the car in turn 3. It's going to bring out another caution. Maybe Hillenberg was just slowing down, seeing the yellow light come on. He had taken that spot back from Bill Baird.
I'm sure that's why he was waiting, because now the caution flag was out.
So there's the caution we talked about that could really help Frank Kimmel. His car was awfully strong, and now he'll get to come back around to race with Shelmerdine. But what a tough break for Mark Brenner. This is a team car to Mark Gibson's car, although this is the Ford Thunderbird and not a Taurus. It's a car that's fielded out of their shop, and Mark Brenner said he really needed a good finish today and bring the car home in one piece, or it might be his last race. And, well, there you can see.
Might be his last race.
Yeah.
Let's hope he's okay, because obviously he had hard contact with that wall. And safety officials taking the netting down on the...
It looks like they're talking to him. I get that impression just watching. Well, you know, if they get this wreck cleaned up, we could see 5 or 6 laps of green flag racing.
Yep. They're about to complete the 90th lap. And obviously, it's going to take a while to get this situation cleaned up over there in turn 3. But yeah, we will undoubtedly have some caution, some green laps. So the top 10 here as we go to break. Kirk Shelmerdine continuing to lead here as the laps click off and we near the end of this event. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Michigan ARCA 200 being brought to you by Sensor First. To prevent trouble before it has a chance to start, use Sensor First. By Texaco, a world of energy. And by Daytona, USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. 92 laps are complete, still under caution, but they're lining up for the restart.
And we see we have been given the signal 1 lap to go as the wrecker gets the car off the speedway. The cars are lining up.
Again, that's Mark Brenner's car that crashed up there in turn number 3. He got out of the car under his own power and walked with assistance to the ambulance. Okay, here's the situation. 9 cars now on the lead lap. There they are. Shelmerdine, Hillenberg, Baird, Kimmel, Finley, Cicchetti, Berry, and Gerhardt, along with Mark Gibson in 9th position. And you see the rest of the field as we get set to go back to racing.
And the bad news for the leader, Kirk Shelmerdine. Bill Weber reported that they feel like the car is now running on 7 cylinders instead of the customary 8. Robs it of probably 15–20% of its horsepower.
We will not be going back to green. The lights come back on top of the pace car, so at least one more to go.
What it looks like to me, Bob, the 29 car, Darrell Lanigan, I believe, is in that outside line, or maybe that's Gary Layton, who is ahead of Frank Kimmel, and he is a lap down, so they need to get that car out of there. Bill Weber, is that the case?
That could be one scenario, Ray. I think the question mark here is on the 17. Again, it's Cicchetti, and exactly where he was when he crossed the start-finish line. Was a caution out? Had he already gotten around the leader before it came out? So it has been a very entertaining discussion down here between certain members of different crews, but I think that's one car that they want to get back up there is the 17 car, and he is in the outside lane. So we'll check on some other cars down here as well.
And he moves up to 6th position for the restart.
So indeed, the number 74 Tampico Citrus Punch car, Gary Layton, has now dropped down to the inside. So if we can get these cars all lined up, they should be ready to go. And as another lap clicks by, it's just going to make the finish all that more exciting, huh, Benny?
Yeah, 6 laps to go when they take the green flag.
Well, in the early stages, it was all Gary Layton. And then Kirk Shelmerdine stretched the gas mileage until past the halfway mark, ended up at one point on a lap by himself. But because of subsequent cautions, we now have 9 cars that are on the lead lap and going for the battle for the lead, because Shelmerdine is apparently down on a cylinder. Lead lap cars lined up nose to tail on the outside row. None of the lap cars are between them.
So, Benny, if Kirk Shelmerdine does, in fact, have a problem, who do you think the best cars are behind him?
I think right now, Bill Baird and the 46 car, Frank Kimmel, and they're currently running 3rd and 4th. I think that they're probably the fastest cars out there. Bill Weber?
It's going to be interesting to see, Benny. Obviously, they're hoping that maybe Shelmerdine's car will come back to him. They're not very optimistic about that. But the reason we did get one more lap of yellow was for the 83 car of Jeff Finley. And his crew persuaded ARCA officials that he indeed should be on the lead lap. He is, and they think they can pick up a couple of spots as we go back to green.
6 laps to go in the Michigan ARCA 200.
And already Shelmerdine has lost the lead as Hillenberg goes by.
Andy Hillenberg blowing by Kirk Shelmerdine, as a matter of fact.
Now, look at the distance that Hillenberg has on Bill Baird and Frank Kimmel. Can they make it up?
Andy Hillenberg has driven from 41st. The last starter took the previous champion's provisional to get into the race. Only 3 laps in that car, as Kyle Petty reported at the beginning of the race. And he is now the leader. That is Baird closing in on Shelmerdine for 2nd position, and Frank Kimmel is watching.
5 laps to go.
Here goes Baird to the outside of Shelmerdine and takes 2nd.
Oh, but Shelmerdine comes back, making contact, and they lose it. Oh, Bill Baird back to the wall.
Baird slides up, barely hits the wall, does make contact, comes down the racetrack, and let's hope that nobody else hits him, and it looks like everybody's going to get by. Wow.
And the yellow is now out, and Andy Hillenberg is going to take the yellow this time by on lap 95. Or 96.
It'll be the completion of 96 laps, yes. Now, as they come down to race for 2nd position, it is Kimmel in 2nd, followed by Finley and Cicchetti.
All right, next time by, if they give them the signal 1 lap to go, that'd be 97 to get to green on 98. So this is going to be a 2-lap shootout. Attaboy. Meanwhile, Bill Baird will get back in the pits. get 4 new tires on this thing, so he's not out of this thing yet either.
Yeah, he will drop back to 9th here, the last car in the lead lap, but, as Benny said, can come in for fresh tires and may be able to pick up a few spots. He does have some damage there in the front end of the car.
I spoke too soon. See that damage? That will hurt that car.
Over, owner crew chief.
Here is a replay of the contact between Shelmerdine and Baird that resulted in Bill's spin.
Well, Shelmerdine can't go down the straightaway as fast as these cars, but he can run through the corner. And Bill Baird is running the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to come down to his line, but Shelmerdine is there. And Kirk loses the back end, goes up. When he straightens it, he has to chase it up the hill, makes contact with Bill Baird, and I tell you what, I thought he was going to back this thing in the wall with a lot of damage, and guess what? Just barely touched it. I'm trying to figure out where the nose of the car.
Where the front end damage came, yeah. Nobody else has contact with him. Has everybody got around cleanly? I don't know.
Evidently, he drove off the racetrack trying to get back going again. Once again, Shelmerdine loses the back end, and when he goes up the racetrack, Bill Baird is there. And the 46 car just goes right by.
And indeed, we will get the 1 to go signal this time.
Let's watch it from Frank Kimmel's onboard camera. His way toward the pits and is getting some fresh tires on the car, and the signal has already been given. 1 more lap to go, so we will have a 2-lap shootout to see who wins this Michigan ARCA 200.
I think he'll probably be able to catch up with the field. Now, if too many of these cars, if they'll let him go by on the outside, he'll be okay, but now if cars a lap down block him, he's going to be in trouble. Meanwhile, we'll have 2 laps to go and the green flag is displayed. Well, Bill Baird's 4-tire change has been complete. He's going back down pit road. There we see him.
He should restart 9th, Benny, as being the last car on the lead lap, but he's got to hurry to get back over there to catch the field. They're already in the center at turn number 3.
That's the problem he's got, is trying to get caught up with the field.
Hillenberg, Kimmel, Finley. Mike Cicchetti is 4th. Shelmerdine is 5th. 61 of Barry is 6th. Then Gerhardt in 8th position is Mark Gibson. And the final car on the lead lap is Bill Baird. Here comes the field off of corner number 4.
And Bill Baird caught the field too fast. He might have had a great run, but unfortunately, he's now hung up behind some cars. The slow cars got in his way, and that could not get through them. Meanwhile, green flag out. Next time by, white flag.
Andy Hillenberg has the lead, but look at Kimmel. He gets a good run on Andy as they go into turn number 2. We're riding with Frank Kimmel, the 2nd place car. This time around, they'll get the white flag.
Hillenberg's a 2-time winner at the Daytona International Speedway, and Frank Kimmel won his first Super Speedway race just a few weeks ago in Charlotte. Both of these guys know how to get to victory lane. Who's going to do it today?
Kimmel 15 points behind Mark Gibson coming into this race in the battle for the ARCA Championship. The white flag is about to come out. 1 more lap to go. They come down nose to tail. And back in that third place car is Layton, who is a lap down. The other white car with the orange trim. We're on the final lap of the race. Kimmel once again takes a run on Andy Hillenberg as they go through the 2nd corner, but Hillenberg holds off the advance. Let's see what happens down the straightaway. He pulls alongside. Kimmel and Hillenberg run wheel to wheel, and Kimmel goes ahead by a half a car length.
Jerry Layton, the 74 car, just needs to let these guys race it out. In the corner, side by side. Kimmel.
All right, Frank, bring it on home, baby. Bring it on home.
Frank Kimmel's going to win this thing.
Hillenberg's car slides up the racetrack and allows Frank Kimmel to get the advantage. Hillenberg takes a run, but no, guys, Frank Kimmel taking the win at the Michigan ARCA 200.
Great job, great job.
I think those boys are excited a little bit.
Sounds like it. It's his 3rd victory of 1998, Salem, Charlotte, and now Michigan for Frank Kimmel, the winner of the Michigan ARCA 200. We'll talk with him when we come back to Michigan Speedway. Frank Kimmel is making his way down pit road and is hunting for victory lane. He has won the Michigan ARCA 200 here this afternoon in a shootout with Andy Hillenburg, and here's how Kimmel got the lead.
Coming off the second corner, Hillenburg's car drifted up the racetrack just a little bit. Kimmel dove to the inside, got alongside Hillenburg. They were going three side by side. And in the middle of this corner, when Hillenburg goes back up the hill, unable to get back on the gasoline, that's the point that Kimmel just drives by. Now he's able to bring the car back up in front of Hillenburg and come down the start-finish line.
And the final margin of victory, 0.18 of a second. Bill Weber is in McDonald's winner's circle. Bill?
And a big cheer and a big celebration for Frank Kimmel. And before the race, we told you, watch for this guy to get to the front. And he did. Your third win of the season. And a big hug from his car owner. Congratulations. Great race, wild finish.
Well, what a finish. I tell you, we got a lot of opportunities to get back to try to win this thing. And somebody's looking after us today. We had a great run. Andy Hillenburg treated me really clean. We got a good run on him coming down the backstretch. This Advanced Auto Parts Visionaire Chevy was tough today. It was running good all day, and great finish. Woo!
You had to get your lap back, too, Frank.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad deal, but fuel mileage caught us a little bit right there, and we were big conservative. You gotta make sure you finish these things, so we sure didn't want to run out, and it cost us a lap, but we were able to get it back.
And your thoughts on the final lap? Did you think you could get around Andy?
I didn't know Andy's awfully good, and I thought if I could get a real good run coming off, too, maybe I'd get up beside him, and we did. We ran her off into turn 3 there, pretty daggone tough, and I think both of us was wiggling around, so one or third didn't win.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Great.
Frank Kimmel in victory lane here at Michigan Speedway. Back to the booth.
From Jeffersonville, Indiana, Frank Kimmel, victory here at Michigan Speedway.
And guys, you might just very well be looking at the 1998 ARCA Bondo Mar-Hyde champion. We got a long way to go, but what a great start to the season.
Well, 9 cars finished on the lead lap as we take a look at the unofficial results. Mark Gibson, who was the points leader coming in, finished in 9th position. And Yoder finished up 11th. Pretty good run for that kid.
It was a great run for Yoder. Tell you what, we saw a lot of talent from some folks that had never seen a big racetrack until today. Bob Shack disappointed back in 23rd spot, 3 laps down. Josh Baldus, 4 laps down.
And the rest of the finishers, as 33 through 41 were unable to complete the distance here this afternoon. So congratulations to Frank Kimmel, who comes home the victor here at Michigan. Coming up next, NASCAR Goes Flying, hosted by John Nicholson. Take a plane ride with Jack Roush, Jeff Burton, Chad Little, Rusty Wallace, and Mark Martin. That ought to be fun. Stay with us. That's coming up next here on ESPN. Thanks to Ray Dunlap, Benny Parsons, Kyle Petty, and Bill Weber, I'm Bob Jenkins, and this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.